am delighted to welcome you to Gateways Music Festival's 2020 Virtual Chamber Music Festival. I'm Lee Koonce, and I have the honor of serving as President and Artistic Director of Gateways Music Festival in association with the Eastman School of Music. Gateways is the unique vision of award-winning concert pianist Arminta Hummings Dumasani, who founded Gateways in Winston-Salem, North Carolina in 1993. The festival, whose mission is to connect and support professional classical musicians of African descent and enlighten and inspire communities through the power of performance, has grown significantly over the years, with our live 6-day festival attracting more than 125 musicians and a combined audience of more than 7,000. This year, while we're disappointed not to be able to perform live in Rochester, we are excited that this virtual format will allow listeners from around the country and from around the world to join us in the celebration of professional classical musicians of African descent. In addition to presenting the virtual festival this year, there are two other changes which many of you may have noticed, both of which were decided long before the current pandemic. The first is our move to the fall. Those of you who have followed Gateways for many years will recall that in the early days, the festival was always held in the fall. We returned to the fall this season primarily so that our musicians can interact more easily with students. Secondly, the focus this year is on chamber music instead of our usual festival, which includes chamber music along with the full orchestra. Our goal for quite some time has been to become an annual festival, and this smaller format seemed more realistic as a way to begin our annual programming. We look forward to the full orchestra and all of our other programming returning for the next live festival. This year's virtual festival, from today, November the 9th, through Friday, November 13th, features 10 public events, a residency with public school students in rock music, a 5-hour daily Gateways radio program, and much, much more. To learn about all of this week's activities, we invite you to visit the festival's website at gatewaysmusicfestival.org. Before moving on to our pre-concert conversation this evening, I would like to thank all of our individual and institutional supporters and give special recognition to the Eastman School of Music, the University of Rochester, the National Endowment for the Arts, the New York State Council on the Arts, the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, and the Ford Foundation. And we are especially grateful to WXXI, Rochester's public television and radio station, for their media sponsorship. I invite you to become a Gateway supporter by making a donation on our secure website and clicking Donate. This evening, I am pleased to introduce Herb Smith, who will be our host and moderator for the pre-concert conversation and for the Celebrating Rochester's Own concert, which follows. Herb plays trumpet with the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra and the Gateways Music Festival Orchestra, and he has been a member of the festival's Artistic Programs Committee since its inception in 2009. Without further delay, I introduce Herb Smith. Herb?
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Lee, for that great introduction. We are so thrilled that you have joined us this evening. We are celebrating some of the extraordinary classical musicians of African descent who live right here in our hometown of Rochester, New York, Rochester's own, homegrown, right here. This concert, the first concert of this year's festival, is dedicated to the memory of legendary soprano Jessie Norman. As many of you know, Miss Norman is her brother is the board chair for Gateways, James Norman, and held a special place in the hearts of musicians and music lovers the world over. I personally had an occasion to see her live in Tanglewood, singing the fourth movement of Mahler's Second Symphony with the Boston Symphony. I remember it like it was yesterday. She came out from the wings as if she were an angel floating across the stage. I will never forget that moment for the rest of my life. Jessie Norman was a force, and we are dedicating this concert to her memory. You can view the program for this evening's concert on our website in the program guide or from the 2020 festival menu on the top right side of our website's homepage. In both locations, in addition to the program, you will also find bios for all of this evening's performers, including me. Our guests for this pre-concert conversation include Kearstin Piper Brown, a soprano and member of Gateway's board of directors, Lee Koonce, who you just heard, Gateway's president and artistic director, and Thomas Warfield, senior lecturer, Rochester Institute of Technology, and William Warfield Scholarship Fund board of directors. That's a long one, Thomas. Welcome to all of you. How is everyone?
Thank
Everyone good?
you.
We're great.
Yeah,
Doing
great.
Exciting.
Good. This is so neat, Lee, for us to be doing this. It's interesting for it to be virtual, obviously.
Yeah.
But at least that we're doing this, and the love and the hard work that people have done for these concerts is just fantastic.
Yeah. Truly.
I would like to start our conversation with Kearstin. You and soprano, good. You and soprano Elena O'Connor will sing a duet of two spirituals. Can you tell us about these two spirituals and how you and Elena decided to add them to the program?
Well, thank you so much, Herb. It's good to see you on the Zoom screen. I think last time I saw you was in an airport terminal somewhere. First of all, I'm so excited about this Chamber Music Festival and the fact that we are able to bring it to audiences worldwide virtually. I was very excited about collaborating with some of our local musicians when Lee told me that we were going to do this concert, and immediately thought of a couple of beautiful ladies with equally beautiful voices that I wanted to sing with. I was absolutely delighted that Elena O'Connor was available. She's normally in Germany, but the pandemic has her at home in Rochester. We went through some pieces, and I remember when I toured with the American Spiritual Ensemble, I remember hearing my colleagues sing the Johnny Dean arrangement of "Oh, What a Beautiful City," and how audiences reacted to it. It was just a very delightful song, wonderful to hear, and now that I've had a chance to sing it, wonderful to sing. Elena chose There's a Balm in Gilead, a la Kathleen Battle and Jesse Norman, which we didn't really, at that time, we didn't know this concert would be dedicated to Jesse Norman. Those of you who are familiar with the concert, the famous concert with Kathleen Battle and Jesse Norman singing spirituals, both pieces, Oh, What a Beautiful City, and There's a Balm in Gilead, appear on the program. The arrangement we sang is a Hale Smith arrangement that we adapted for two sopranos. And we believe that it's such a wonderful piece for the turbulent times we find ourselves in this time of COVID-19, this pandemic, and some of the social unrest that we see in our city and around the country.
Speaking of that, how was it for the two of you coming together after having been in pandemic, and how much have you been singing during lockdowns?
It was just a joy and so wonderful to get into the Hochstein School of Music and Dance, into that beautiful space, and to sing not to my computer, not to my microphone that's right in front of my face. So I almost wanted to cry. And for people to see, below my, my neck, to see. So cool. But I have been doing a couple of projects. I'm working on a virtual opera now, a couple of virtual choir projects, and other collaborations. And it was just wonderful to sing with Elena and to have Lee right there, a friend of mine, there at the piano. I could, almost touch him. We were too far away, trying to keep it safe. But it was just lovely to be in the space and refreshing.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kearstin. Let's go on to Lee now. Lee, as president and artistic director of Gateways, how did this idea of a concert focusing on Rochester's classical musicians come about?
Well, I think very many people in Rochester wait every other year, or now every year, for all the Gateways musicians to return. We bring about 125 musicians from around the country. And I think it's so easy to forget that we have world-class musicians living right in Rochester. And I thought, well, wait a minute, this is a perfect opportunity to focus on those and highlight those musicians. So this concert is especially to do that, celebrate Rochester's own. Um, I've had an opportunity actually to see the performance, and it is extraordinary. And what Kearstin says about being in Hochstein, and you perform there as well, it's just a moving, beautiful performance. It's just so incredible to see that space and how the camera shows all the stained glass windows and the beautiful music. It really is extraordinary. So, in addition to highlighting the extraordinary artists that live in Rochester, we're also highlighting this beautiful space that is, I think all of you know, one of the most historic spaces in the world. Frederick Douglass's funeral was held in that space. Susan B. Anthony's memorial service was held in that space. So to
Yes.
see our Gateways musicians performing there, and at such an amazing high level and such artistry, is really extraordinary. Um,
Lee, sorry. Lee,
yeah,
I
no,
was
go ahead, go
thinking
ahead.
because we've had other concerts. We've had our in-person concerts in Hochstein
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So it was a great thing to have our virtual in Hochstein also.
That's right. It's kind of a continuation. It's what we do. Just like
Yeah.
these conversations before concerts and the host for every concert. It's been something that Gateways has done since 1993, since the beginning. Back in 1993 in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and even until when I first started at Gateways in the 1990s, we'd open with a prayer, right? And somebody would welcome everybody to the concert, and we'd get down and
Yep.
start playing. So
Yep.
it's a part of our tradition to have these conversations before we play, and to have these conversations before we have our concerts.
Beautiful. Is there anything we should pay particular attention to for this concert?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's an amazing program, and for those of you who don't know, you can go online and look up the whole program. But something happened uniquely, and it was unplanned. Just like Kirsten said that they selected their repertoire before they knew this concert was going to be dedicated to Miss Norman.
Yeah.
It also turns out that there's another theme that runs through the entire concert, and it is the African American spiritual Balm in Gilead. It appears on 3 of our concerts. And for those of you in Rochester, you know that our longtime board chair and extraordinary champion of the Gateways Music Festival was Paul Burgett, a vice president of the University of Rochester, our board chair, Eastman Dean at one time when I was a student at Eastman. And Balm in Gilead was one of 2 selections that he requested be performed at his memorial service. And the fact that just by happenstance it appears 3 times in this festival
Wow.
I don't have words to understand how that happened. But every time I hear it, the 3 times in the festival that I hear it, it becomes Paul's festival. This is a festival in his honor as well as Miss Norman, and it's really very special. And I think you'll all hear it this week. So that's one thing that's really important. And to notice in this concert today. The other thing that is really, really powerful is that, one of Rochester's most famous musicians ever happens to be William Warfield. And while he is no longer with us, there is an incredible legacy of his recordings out there. So we actually end this opening concert with William Warfield singing in 1951 his Old Man River from the musical Showboat. And it was when he was in his prime, and singing doesn't get any better than that. So I really encourage everyone to listen to the end. The concert is only about 40 minutes long, but to hear that beautiful singing and that beautiful voice from one of Rochester's own is a really fitting way to end the concert.
Oh, thank you so much, Lee. And it's perfect for our next segue to talk to Thomas.
Right.
That was perfect.
That's right.
Right? Thomas,
Yeah.
how you doing, man?
Yeah. Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I wore purple for you, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, wore purple. I wore purple for you.
look at Kearstin.
You got yours on too.
So, Thomas, you are a
Yeah.
well-known musician, artist, civic leader in Rochester, and you are the nephew of the incomparable William Warfield. Can you tell us a bit about the performance that will conclude this program? Can you tell us a little bit about that performance of William Warfield?
Yes, actually, that performance is legendary not only because of the film, the MGM film, but the recording of that song is actually legendary in Hollywood. It was a one-take performance. So it's extraordinary. So what happened was in the fall of 1950, when they recorded it, my uncle was only 30 years old. And it was the first professional recording he ever made. So he's on the sound stage with this huge orchestra at MGM, and the conductor baton goes down, and they start doing it. And he writes in his autobiography how nervous he was because this is his first time. It's a big first time, and he thought, I'm going to be here all day just trying to get this right. They had scheduled the entire day for this recording. So after the recording is over, after he finishes, there's this silence. And then everybody's kind of looking around. He thought, oh no, I think I did something wrong. He thought he did something wrong. They're going to have to take another take. So the director and the conductor are talking, and they say, well, let's play this back. So they play it back. Everybody's listening, and it's silent after it's done. And then somebody says, you know what, you better get Mr. Mayer down here. Mr. Mayer would head of MGM. And then he thought, oh, I really did it. They got to call Mr. Mayer down here. So he comes down and he sits down and they play it back. Now, Mr. Mayer had been known as a kind of deadpan-faced kind of guy, no emotional kind of expression. And all of a sudden, during the playback, these tears are rolling down Mr. Mayer's face. And at the end of the playback, there's silence again. And then Mr. Mayer stands up and says, that's a take. And so that was the first, I got it on the first time. He says later, my uncle says later how he didn't realize that it didn't have to be perfect the first time. And so, that really, though, demonstrates his entire career. That moment of being the perfection of that moment really explains or demonstrates his entire career. He was a perfectionist in his artistry. And so that story actually is legendary in Hollywood to this day as the Old Man River one take. So that's the story.
That's an incredible story. And Thomas, when I lived in, and we were just talking earlier about living in Chicago, your uncle actually had the beginning of that Old Man River on his answering machine. So when you would call and he'd sing Old Man River, and he's I'm working on this song. I got to get this down. Leave a message. It was the funniest thing ever.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, that's an amazing story. That's an amazing story.
Incredible
story. Now I understood we were talking earlier about William Warfield's involvement in gateways early on. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So Armenta Hummings and my uncle Bill were very good friends and colleagues. And actually, when Gateways began, Uncle Bill was very much involved with helping Armenta get it going. And I remember when it came to Rochester, Well, I should be saying William Warfield, I guess. William Warfield and George Shirley, and actually myself and Almeda Whitus did a sort of um, premiere kind of production that Almeda wrote. It was music, dance, and oratory. And we did that. I think actually that was at Hochstein. Yeah, I believe it was at Hochstein, the first performance. Yeah, there's been a long history of my uncle involvement with gateways. So it goes way back to the beginning. And of course, once it came to Rochester, there was, he even though he didn't live in Rochester, he did have a lot of pull in Rochester, a lot of weight he could move around in Rochester. So that was very beneficial to gateways as well. So we go.
Wow.
Gateways has a long history with connected to William Warfield.
Wow. I've been in gateways a while, but I wasn't that far back. But I remember the times, at least I think you remember, I remember the times when Arminta would have all of those African garbs. Do you remember that?
That's right.
And
That's
she
right.
would carry the African garbs around,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
everyone in the orchestra would have to wear some type of colorful African garb. And
Yeah.
I remember not liking it so much. Like, why are we wearing this colorful? But then when we were on stage playing a Beethoven symphony,
Yes.
and I'm looking around at the color of people's skin, and I'm looking
Yes.
around at all the different colored outfits and robes and stuff, I was like,
Yeah.
wow. Like
Yeah.
it really blew me away. It was a sensory experience I'd never
Yeah.
experienced. I mean, think
Yeah.
classical music is black and white. Like that's the way it's always
That's right.
been. That's what you
Yeah.
wear. And to
Absolutely.
see those colors, hmm,
It was beautiful, and we've gone back to kind of more traditional concert garb the last 3 or 4 festivals, but there's talk about bringing some color back into the orchestra performances. So I think for our next kind of live orchestra performance, we'll see some color brought back onto the stage, which will be exciting. I also wanted to say that in addition to your uncle Thomas. The early days of Gateways attracted lots of other really, world famous musicians. I know that Donald White, who was, the first black cellist with the Cleveland Orchestra, would attend. Jerome Ashby from
Ashby.
French horn. It's all of the support in the early days for Gateways was extraordinary. And I think that a lot of those musicians felt the way that our current Gateways musicians feel, which is that this is the place where I can come and it's just a family reunion, as Michael Morgan says.
Mm.
This is family, and we can play great music, and it can be all about the music because it doesn't need to be about anything else, just the music. And so your uncle was a part of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you,
that's
you know
incredible.
that
Yeah,
that same time didn't
whatever we do.
go
Oh,
ahead, Herb.
excuse me.
Sorry.
I'll say whatever we do, let's not let Thomas have anything to do with the color because if everyone should be wearing purple.
Well, that is very
Nothing wrong with
true.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think that
Oh
would
man.
be
Well,
terrific.
Thomas, would you tell us a little bit, just a little plug about the scholarship fund that you have for William
Oh,
Warfield?
sure. Yeah. So I'll just tell you that the William Warfield Scholarship Fund, which was started in 1977, gives financial award to students at the vocal students at the Eastman School of Music, black students, and it has been doing that since the 70s. And I'm also happy to say that we now also have a William Warfield vocal competition for high school students, and they are high school students from all over the country. We just did a virtual one a few weeks ago, and I got to thank you, Kearstin, for that too. I'm very excited about the scholarship fund and its evolution, its development, its growth. It's really been, and I'm very grateful for the partnership with Gateways. I think that that's also a really marvelous thing. And I'll just also say that one of the reasons that it's so important, and also that this is so important, Gateways, is because of the inspiration that it gives not just young people, but all of us, but particularly young people, get to really see what's possible, the path laid before them. You know, when William Warfield was a high school student here in Rochester when he was a kid, he won a competition, and then he won the regional, version of that competition, which meant he could go off to the nationals, but he didn't have the money. His family didn't have money to send him to St. Louis for the national competition. And so his schoolmates put on a show to raise the money. And so it kind of is a full circle thing where we really are inspiring and supporting each other in our talent, in the gifts we give, even in showing up for the performances, to watch and to hear and to listen and to learn, that it's all part of this sort of support system. Because you never know who's inspired in those moments and what their life is going to contribute to the rest of us. So I'm so grateful for Gateways and the William Warfield Scholarship Fund for the work and the talent and the artistry that goes on.
Mm-hmm. It's terrific.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you for that. We're coming to the close. Kearstin, I just wanted to give you a chance to just kind of give us any parting words about your performance of the concert.
I'm just so thrilled to be here. I'm just thrilled for this festival in general, and piggybacking on what Thomas said about how Gateways gives back. I'll just tell quickly. Like my children are both musicians, violinists and flutists, and we sat at 2017 festival, the Florence Price. I think it was the second symphony you all played, and he drew this beautiful picture while. And that I looked at the end of the piece, and I looked at him at 5 years old and saw that this child drew this beautiful picture just from listening to the music. And I think about all the youth that we can reach out to and touch. And I'm so thankful to all of our wonderful sponsors who've offered opportunities for our youth to see this and to be inspired by it and to see that they can do this too. So I'm just so grateful for this organization.
Thank you, Kearstin.
Thank you.
Beautifully said. Lee,
Herb, might I say something?
Final comments?
Might I say a little bit about something that I want everybody to take note of, and that is we launched Gateways Radio this year. So starting today from 2 o'clock until 7,
Awesome.
leading up to this show, Garrett McQueen has been hosting this extraordinary show for 5 hours about Gateways, and the narrative is amazing, the music is amazing. And so every day from now on, from 10:30 until 3:30, log into our website and you'll hear Gateways Radio, which will be 5 hours of narration and music from past Gateways music festivals. And it is so incredibly exciting. And I want to say just thank you to Garrett, because what he has done is extraordinary. And everyone, you must listen to it. It is truly extraordinary.
Yes.
Thank you, Lee.
And there's other highlights of this week as well. On tomorrow night, we've talked a little bit about the concert today, but tomorrow night on Tuesday, we are thrilled, absolutely thrilled to welcome Anthony Mcgill, who's the principal clarinet of the New York Philharmonic, and this year's Avery Fisher Prize Award winner, will give a solo recital. And he's playing some extraordinary pieces. And for that pre-concert conversation, Anthony will be a part of that conversation like we are today, along with Jesse Montgomery, who's one of the composers, and James Lee III will also be a part of that conversation. And it's hosted by Kelly Hall Tompkins. So the four of them will talk about that concert, talk about the compositions, and it will be really, really terrific. And later on in the week, there are 2 panels. One is about Black musicians and the Black Lives Matter movement. I think that it's important for us to talk about classical music and how that relates to us and our work and our efforts. And then on Friday, there's another panel conversation about the impact of COVID and that's hosted by Terrence McKnight from WQXR. So it's a really exciting week. So those are a couple of highlights, but really check out the entire schedule because it really is, if I say so myself, an exciting week.
Well, well, I would just like to say thank you to Lee. Lee,
Oh, Herb.
you've done an incredible job.
Absolutely.
It's just
Yes.
from my heart
Thank you.
to the world, to everyone, I would just like to say thank you to Lee. He has a tireless job.
Mhm.
He works crazy hours. He's reminded me to do stuff when I haven't done it. He's amazing. I want to thank you. I want to thank you.
Thanks, Herb. And it definitely
Yes, thank
is
you,
a
Lee.
cast of thousand.
Yes,
Folks like
yes, right.
you, Bergs like Kearstin. It's certainly not me doing all of this, but it's a cast of 1,000 because we believe so much in gateways. I mean, you've been on the artistic programs committee since 2009. All of us are making this happen. So, but thank you very much, Herb.
Oh, really? Well, that is the close of our pre-chat here. I would like to thank all of our guests this evening. And now we invite you to enjoy Celebrating Rochester's Own, featuring Kearstin Piper Brown, soprano, Nicole Cabell, soprano, Boubacar Diallo, cello, Elena O'Connor, soprano, Herb Smith, myself on trumpet, George Taylor, viola, and Lee Wright, piano. The concert opens up with Lift Every Voice. This was recorded in June by the Gateways Festival Orchestra virtually. Even though we were separated from each other, we came together virtually to lift every voice. Again, thank you for joining us this evening, and please enjoy the concert.
Kearstin Piper Brown. This is Lee Wright.
And we will sing Oh What a Beautiful City, arranged by Johnny Dean.
And then There's a Balm in Gilead, arranged by Hale Smith.
Oh
Hello, my name is Herb Smith, and I'm here with Wright, and we're going to perform for you the second and third movement from Ulysses K's piece for trumpet and piano called Trumba. The second movement is called Nocturne, and the third movement is called Mobile. And our final selection will be a Negro spiritual entitled Steal Away.
I'm Nicole Cabell. My pianist Lee Wright and I will be performing Bellini's Ma rendi pur contento, followed by Ricky Ian Gordon's Joy.
Hi everyone, my name is Boubacar Diallo, and I'm privileged to be playing with Professor George Taylor at the Eastman School of Music, and we'll be playing the Eyeglass duo for viola and cello by Ludwig van Beethoven.
I'm George Taylor, Professor of Viola at the Eastman School of Music, and the piece we're about to play is a piece by Ludwig van Beethoven. It's a duo written for two eyeglasses obbligato, for two friends who wore very, very thick eyeglasses. And it's a friendly, amiable piece, not serious for Beethoven at all, except for the fact that anything that Beethoven writes is quite difficult to play. So yeah, it's a delightful little piece.